said, "Don't mistake me." That's how it opened. Don't mistake me. It was like a Bible verse from Paul. Mom's in a jail cell at 3 a.m. going, "Do not mistake me. I felt that the cork was the way to get you up."
I did see that.
Good morning and welcome to Blair on the Air, the podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Blair, and I am joined by the original founder, the one and only, it's Ivy Blair, everybody. And let's get started. No, I'm just kidding. I also have the person without whom nothing would work, Margo Crowder. Wearing a very exclusive Blair Advanced hoodie. You can't just buy one of these hoodies. I mean, I can, but you can't. You have to earn it. Right? So we are midway through this semester. We're like 3 months in. So how is teaching going this year?
I've worked harder than I've worked in my life.
Really?
Yes.
We decreased your student volume by like 15 hours a week.
Yeah, but the intensity is like raised.
You raised your intensity.
I did, because of the advanced program.
Those poor children. I used to go, "Hello, please play your scale." And now I'm like, "Hello! Please play your scale." No, that's really good. I feel the same. Yeah. Because we're doing special video reviews where kids have to log their practices. And it's like we're giving them extra teaching. But it's kind of also like they're having to prove that they practiced.
Yes.
Which is a big advantage. How's the semester going from the administrative tower?
It is awesome. I'm so excited about the programs. Things are running smooth. I just feel more connected with the families and teachers and students than ever before, making all the things twist and adjust and keep them running.
Is it different not teaching? Because you taught with us for forever, and now you're like solely communicating, building out things, planning events, and all that. So you still feel connected even though you're not like in a room saying hi to everybody.
That is correct. So it is different, and sometimes I get the opportunity to come in and sub, which I love for so many reasons.
What instrument do you sub?
I sub piano.
Yeah, I knew that. But do you know, like, there's probably a good handful of students that like don't know that you play.
I know, which I love because it's like, I feel like I know I'm a pianist. A lot of you know I'm a pianist, but to come in and just be like, "Oh, I'm gonna teach you today."
They're like the administrator's gonna teach us today.
The person who just talked to me about my schedule, like, yes, I can play the piano for you.
That's kind of funny.
Teach you the C scale.
The general manager of a Major League Baseball team just being like, "Yeah, I'll throw batting practice today." And they're like, "What?"
Right.
So,
I saw you in the conference room.
It's fun. I get to still do a lot of that, which also makes a lot of the administrative stuff. It keeps my hands in that pot. Getting
We
to
have
talk
some
to
new
all the
students
parents.
with us at the front desk this year,
Yes.
which has been super cool. We have a long line of usually vocalists. You must recruit vocalists to come.
I recruit, period.
That is true.
It's really fun. All right, so I got some cool topics for us to talk about today and bring people up to date on the advanced program. So we have an entire like messaging like community just for the advanced program. And the reason is it can get overwhelming when you're setting really high goals. And so we wanted to clarify things. And on the student side, they just see what they're responsible for. But for the three of us, we see all the students. So we'll open it up. And like even right now, look at all the stuff that's just like,
exactly right.
I know.
Yeah, but it's really fun to have a nice, clean, safe way to communicate with the students. I did have one student who I was like, "Oh, let me give you some tips during the lesson." So I'm just like, "You won't have to remember this. I'm going to put this in your practice notes." And then during the lesson, his mom responded because I like taking a picture of him. And she's like, "A picture's worth 1,000 words." And I was like, "Your mom is watching you." And he was like, "Ooh." I'm like, "That's good.
Yeah,
I just want you to know that.
Yeah, that is.
You will be held accountable." Okay, so my questions I have is like, how do you spend your time? So midway through the semester, we're not pitching as many things right now. We're not trying to get kids to go to a longer lesson time or to take theory, or we're more established. So how does your time get spent? You walk into work, it's 3:45 a.m.
Well, you may not be pitching things,
Oh.
but I have a lot of students doing extracurricular competitions and festivals right now. So I start in the morning.
I am ashamed.
At about 6 in the morning with some students that come in before school. And they want to get ready and get their work done. And I have a student getting ready right now for a divisional competition for MTNA.
Regional.
I have several students getting ready for.
So what does regional mean? So I know what that means, but regional might sound like Tri-Cities Regional Airport, that it's like smaller than the state.
This is
it's a small
7
section.
states for the MTNA national competition.
Yeah.
She is
So
representing.
she already won the state of Tennessee.
She's representing Tennessee.
Now she's
She will
representing-
compete against someone from Florida, from Kentucky, from North
Georgia.
Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. That's right. A few years ago, we had another student that would have been in the advanced program had she stayed here, but she graduated.
Had we had the
and
advanced
she actually went to nationals.
So she won the 7-state thing.
Yes, she did.
And then she went on
Yes.
to nationals to
Yes.
compete against the other.
So we're getting ready to record that. In fact, Margo's going to help me with that. She's going to be playing for her. And then I have several students in piano and in voice, as other teachers in the program do, that are going to be recording for the RADA Festival, which is held in Dallas. And it's an international festival where the kids send in repertoire. It's evaluated and sent back, and they have 6 weeks to prepare it for a better way, and get reevaluated and rated. So we've got all of those auditions happening right now.
So do you think there's a correlation between your students' individual successes and you promoting all these extracurricular activities?
I do, because it gives the kids short-term goals. It gives them some tie posts that they can say, I accomplished this, and then we go on. And they can use things that they've done in previous years, which I tell them to save their music.
Yeah, don't sleep on your previous rep, everybody.
Yeah, because we're using music now that they used for RCM last May,
Yeah.
that they used for competitions last semester.
You gotta keep that.
We're using it now because we're not ready right now for competitions. They will be ready in the spring. So we're using that, and it's comforting that they already know it, so now we can take it to a higher level.
If you're playing golf and you spend all summer working on your 7-iron, and then you go to a tournament and you hit that 7-iron as pure as you've ever hit it in your whole life, are you going to be like, time to retire the 7-iron? I've now conquered it. But you'll do that. You'll learn a great piece and you'll audition with it, and then you'll play it, and then you'll go like, okay, never want to play that again because now I've already checked that box.
And then senior recitals come along for our seniors, and I tell them, list every single song you've ever played or done in the last 5 years.
So when people don't have knowledge of a senior recital, and a lot of people don't do senior recitals, I don't think I did a dedicated senior recital.
didn't.
I was just performing so much. Mm-hmm. Did you do a senior recital?
I did not do a senior recital.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
I mean, I totally could have if I wanted to, I guess. But for students, it's actually really special, and they always have more fun than they think they will.
They always never want to do it.
Yeah, no, they don't want to do it.
Because it's calling attention to themselves, but I tell them, how many people of your friends don't even know that you're a musician?
Well, that was one of the reasons when we joined forces and wanted to kind of take a classical course of study and then give more performance opportunities and add some technology and kind of cool factor.
Well, you wanted kids to be able to want to invite their friends.
Yes, that was my litmus test. If you're
And-
telling your friend, I got a performance, you should come check it out.
Yeah.
Which I felt like we did when we brought
Yes.
in Broadway superstar Laura Harris
Yes.
to sing. That was
Yes.
cool.
But old rep, you get better on your old stuff. You increase your skill on your new stuff. So
What's the difference in getting better and increasing your skill? 'Cause
Okay,
I heard
so
that
if I
is the
wanted to
same.
be a good cook,
Okay.
I'm not going to make a different dish every day.
Oh, okay. So you refine with the old stuff,
Right.
and then you add new skills and techniques.
And
with
then,
the new
like,
stuff.
if you were inviting somebody over to my house for supper, you
which
would
I
not
have
want
done.
me to say, I'm going to try a new recipe.
Which you have done.
But you'd say, no, I'd rather you make something
Enchiladas.
something that you can count on, that you know.
I can always count on
So,
enchiladas.
but if I want to increase my cooking repertoire, then I will try new recipes and then perfect those. So I tell the kids, you get better on what you know,
Like your sourdough.
but you increase your skill level on what you learn.
That's pretty good. It's pretty awesome. So yeah, Margo, what have you seen with the advanced kids? Because you're the one, we come up with crazy ideas and we tell the students, and you have to tie all the pieces together. Student has to know what's going on, front desk, the TV announcements, emails, text messages, like all that. So what have you seen from the tower?
From the tower. So many good things, but I think my favorite thing, and I've seen this with families, like with parents, with students, and with teachers, is just a lot of intentionality of, now it's like, well, I just want to get better. Now there's a lot of conversations that I hear when I've subbed, when I'm chatting with parents or interacting with students. It's like, well, we are focusing on this piece. We know that in the exposition, I need to be doing this way, or I am presenting these scales and here's the goal that I'm working towards. So we all want to get better. We all want to, whatever it is, and we're getting better at music, but to see even some really young kids be able to name what they're going to do or where they're putting their time is really cool. And then of course our teachers are doing so much good work behind the scenes to say, okay, I know my kid is here. If they will do this, if they will work the plan, I know that this performance is going to be awesome, or the next step is this competition, and looking ahead to things like you said, festival, MTNA, our big show that's coming up, recitals. They're helping these kids line out these victories, which is super cool. So I think that's my favorite thing that I'm seeing behind it, and a lot of two-way communication too.
That's a big thing, right? Because we're always sending stuff out.
Yeah.
But when they're clarifying, it's like, oh, this means something to them.
And you can tell a kid 100 times to say, well, you have to play your piece this way, or, did you practice? But to actually see the kids say, yes, I practiced 4 times this week, and in practice 1, I did this. Because I see all that, and I see it when I'm subbing too. And they can, if you got like a kid of any age that can point that out, it's huge. So that's far and away my favorite thing.
It's tremendously huge.
That has.
It's my Donald J. Trump impression. Wait, what? Can you do a Trump impression? No. You can just go.
So happy.
Probably.
I can just go this.
Okay, I can do this part. That's funny.
That's awesome.
So we work with comedian and impressionist Mr. Nolan Nairn, who is a former student. And that has caused me to be inspired to do a poor version of all of his impressions all the time. So I'm sorry for you guys that you have to suffer through that. A big win for me in the advanced program is that I think it makes me a better teacher for all my students.
Yes.
We initially were going, what students over the years have been the most successful? And then we're like, okay, we listed out students. And then we said, what do these students have in common? They're Miss Ivy's. Okay, what is Miss Ivy doing with them? And she's like, okay, we do this, 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 and this. We're laughing because it's
So true.
So what we did is we said, instead of trying to get buy-in on a one-on-one basis, or I'm going, student A, I think these are important, will you give it a try? Student B, I think these are important, will you give it a try? We just said, these are important. If you would like to reach an advanced level, we're going to require more from you, and you're going to pay more. You're going to commit more of time and money and effort, and then if you don't live up to these standards, you get removed from the program. And then you can still study music with us, but let's plant a flag in the ground that we're not only doing this recreationally, that we want to see progress. And then everyone's kind of on the same accountability scale.
Well, the intensity, I think, and the intentionality, which Margo was talking about. With the students that I'm working with, I have seen them take a hold of this. I know what I'm doing. And it's not that they're better than our community school at all.
Yeah.
The community kids have the same potential.
Yeah, if you're hungry, you're gonna get better.
Yeah, that's right.
Regardless of where you
It's
are.
just that for some reason, the students all of a sudden had greater purpose, had more intentionality. They were accountable to us. They wanted to be honest, And of course, we have the most.
And they want to be pushed a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'm always afraid of scaring them out, but I have seen this year my students are happier with me just going, all right, we got an hour, we're getting this done. And
I had some students at first, when we first presented the program, crying to their parents that they didn't want anything else. They were already stressed out, you know.
because it's like adding
And
more.
I said, this is not going to stress you out. I think it's going to give you more structure, and it's going to give you more direction, and I think
Yeah.
you're actually going to be calmer.
Because we're not starting music. You're already in music.
Right. And that's what I told them. So the specific young lady or two ladies that were so nervous
I
about
had
it.
several as well. So it's
Now I
not,
ask them and they go, it's not hard at all.
but guess what? That'll probably change in 6 months or something. It's going to be like a little cycle.
Well, but they're moving forward, and that's what they wanted. They wanted to see something for their efforts. So when you're practicing and you don't feel like you're getting anywhere, but that midweek, it doesn't have to be midweek, that check-in between lessons, and I tell my students, these are not performance videos. I don't want to see a perfect performance or a perfect practice. I want you to click it on when you're practicing and saying, this is what I'm doing, am I on the right track?
Do you guys video yourselves practice ever or in the past? Has that been a thing for you?
I have.
Absolutely.
My
It's very
teacher
eye-opening.
required it.
Honestly, if the kids even, if I'm an astute student and I want to get better and I'm not in the advanced program, even if you did your own midweek, you videoed
That's right.
yourself and then the next day you looked at it and wrote some stuff
And
down.
they're very welcome to send me, to bring them. Look what I videoed of myself, and I've had students do that. It's very, it's
Well, and if they
exciting.
went back to their first video reviews or two, even now, just in the few months that it's
Yeah.
been, they could probably be encouraged by the work that they've done. You don't even realize how you're growing sometimes till you check in and look back.
So I tell them it's not that you're a better student and this student is not. It's that your growth is so much faster, and that's what this intentionality produces. Is a faster growth
So
rate.
the difference is if you are just getting started, Santa brought you a violin and you looked up music lessons and saw that we had more reviews than everyone else put together. Oh, is that too braggy? There's so many great music teachers.
There are.
That's awesome. And they all work here. Okay, that's not true. So you want to find a place to, and then you're like looking at convenience. How close is it to me? Will they be nice to my kid? Is it within our price range? That's cool. We try to have some options open for that. And then once you go, this could be one of my things. Like I could develop some skill in this. So moving to the advanced program is one, it's a year-long commitment. And that means for us that we don't expect you to maybe be happy with your progress in 2 or 3 months. It's like getting in shape. It's like you're probably gonna be sore and stuff. So the version of violin might be you're working on a technique like vibrato and it just doesn't seem to be getting better. And I'm like, but I got you for a year. Mm-hmm. So, and then longer lesson times. So you gotta go longer than 30 minutes. 30-minute lesson times. And then you have to log all of your practices. You have to log so many per semester. You have to send us video accountability proof that you are practicing, which we review during the week, and we can send you messages at home. And then you have to do masterclass, ensemble, theory, which isn't a huge time suck, but it will let you make some friends and test your skills in different ways. And then we do cool things like we get professional headshots for you, and you get cool gear like that. Like the show them the side, the golden
this
bee.
is far and
Ooh,
away my favorite.
it's cool.
The T-shirt's awesome too. It's got a
T-shirt has a
shoulder
big badge
patch.
thing. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I think it's something that the students can be proud of. All right, next little topic. What do recitals look like this year versus last year? Now, I will say that everyone should do recitals. If nobody did
Absolutely.
recitals, there's no chance you'd be playing music right now. No chance. If there were not performers, you would not even know a violin existed. Someone would have made it in the 1500s, 1600s, and they would have been like, this is awesome. I'm never going to play it for anyone because that's not why I made it. And you'd never have composers writing. If they didn't share it, you'd never have heard of them. So you got to share some of that art. And then you practice in the safety of your home. You work with a teacher one-on-one. And then you work on your confidence. You find out what happens to your body when you're standing in front of other humans. I mean, like literally, you're like the humidity changes and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So we always do that with recitals. But this year it seems different. Why does it seem different?
They are better. The kids are more confident. They're more professional. They know what to expect. They know what to present. They're cheering each other on like never before.
And I don't think this is the advanced program.
No,
this is the whole school.
It's
yeah,
the entire studio.
It's like their posture. So a big sign is when they sit down at the piano and they like adjust their seat.
Oh yeah.
Get it where they want. Put their hands up. Little breath. And then they're in. Instead of like, sit down, I'm uncomfortable here. Start playing. Yeah. We had one recital with 100% bows. I don't think that's ever happened
that was
before.
Great.
Every single kid remembered to bow after. Which you think is simple, but it's actually not.
No, the last recital date that we had I think 4 or 5 recitals. Mm-hmm. Every one of you weren't there. Every one of them were amazing.
So we probably had. So in recitals, we do almost a recital day a month. And on a day, we'll do 3 to 5 recitals, except for Christmas. We do 1,000 of them. And each recital might have 10 to 15 kids in it. And so, like, we do a lot of recitals, and they are really fun. Margo, what have you seen at recitals that makes you excited?
Yeah. Not to just parrot what Ivy said, but there's so much strength and composure and confidence in what's happening. And even if it is a young child's or a new student's first recital, or they're playing in front of strangers for the first time, the way that they're supported by the other students is really cool. So there's just sort of this collectivity of, this is what we do and this is how we do it. And taking pride in what they're doing, which is so cool. So cool in anything.
There's 2 really cool things that happen. Let's say you have a 2-year student and a 10-year student performing at the same recital. And this 10-year student is really mature and they're playing high-level stuff and it's very entertaining and captivating. The 2-year student's like, oh, I want to do that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Equally as cool is when you want to kind of like tread the water. We like Mr. Daniel, so we're coming to lessons. We got a lot going on. Maybe they haven't seen a lot of growth. So you've got like a plateauy 10-year student. And you have just an on fire 2-year student. Yeah. And the 10-year student's like, how long have they been taking?
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, that's true.
Like I gotta step it up.
Yeah.
So both of those things happen from time to time.
Yeah.
Well, also the preparation and the recitals I have heard over and over and over from kids that go on to college. They say, you all prepared us so well.
No one in the history of my music education or teaching has ever been like, I went on to college and you guys made me perform way too much. It just was unrealistic. This is like, they're so grateful. Yeah, everyone goes, I wish I'd performed more when I was younger. Yeah. Everybody.
Well, an uncanny thing happened. We had a senior graduate last year. She went to college this year. And juries, they have to sing them at the end of the semester to pass.
Yeah.
They held their juries in October. So she had to be ready with her rep in October.
What do they do the rest of the year?
so I said, are you ready? She says, oh, yeah. And it was like, big rep. And it was like, yes.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, yeah, that rocks. What's been some wins for your adult students this year, or conversations that you've had on the planning side of things? So I actually had a couple adults drop out this year that I was very attached to, because you have good conversations. But I still have plenty of adult students. And getting them to understand that a timeline is long is a struggle. It's an actual struggle, because they think they're older and wiser and that things will go faster. And they just don't. Mm-hmm. So how do you keep the adults encouraged? And I'm not saying that, like, if you didn't learn this when you're a kid, you have no chance. But I'm saying, like, it's not an advantage to be an adult with a busy life who thinks that if you Google on enough forums and you put it in your head that it's just going to sing its way out.
Yeah.
So what's a way for adults to experience wins?
I work with several adults. They come mostly at 6 in the morning, work with me, or early in the day. And I stress the fact that you need something for yourself. It's not whether you're going to become a concert musician. It's not whether you're going to be great. It's you're doing something for yourself that nobody can interfere. It's your bubble of what you're doing. And you can take your time. There's no time restraints. There's no pressure on being better. It's going to cause your brain to develop in ways that it's never developed before. And so if you don't practice, come anyway. I just take the pressure off.
They also don't know so it's nice to get peer feedback.
Yes.
And they don't know what impresses us.
Yeah.
It's usually not singing every word.
No.
I don't think I've ever been like, was that your student at that recital? They sang every word.
No.
Yeah.
Like I have a student right now who he wants to get up and not have to take a drink before he goes to recital.
I just need to calm down.
Yeah, he says, I think I can do it this time. He says, I'm gonna be alert. And I have another student who says, put me first this time. Put me first. Because I want to be able to enjoy the rest of the recital. But now they're learning mechanisms for this nervousness to perform, and they're practicing in order to be able to present this piece. And they're taking the challenge. But I equate it to exercising. You're not going to get a six-pack in 3 weeks or even a year sometimes.
Rats. Really want that.
And once you get it, you can't stop.
What do you think? Yeah. So you're saying once you get that progress, it can go away.
Yeah, that's right.
Bye-bye. What have you seen, Margo? Adult wins.
Well, I have so much admiration for adult students because they're coming in and, you're having a conversation with us just trying to find the 45 minutes or an hour to come in, and you're juggling all the things. So props to all of the adult students that are even in here doing a sample lesson and getting started. There have been, for the adult students, seeing the things that, maybe the things that I can imagine and the things that I can't. You have so many things, you're in a different career than me. And to see just the bravery to get on stage. And the small victories do lead to those big victories. So if you get on stage and you're shaking in your shoes to play Mary Had a Little Lamb, we see and we know that the next semester or 6 weeks later, that it's better. So those are a lot of the ones that I have. But honestly, from the logistical standpoint, working with them to say, well, hey, my kid really needs this from me, but I'm committed to this. Can we make an adjustment in our time? Or would Miss Ivy be able to do this? Just prioritizing the time, because showing up is huge. And like you said, making that time for yourself. So that's huge.
All right, I've got some advice that I pulled up. I just want you guys to kind of react to it, kind of rapid fire. Ooh. This is advice from Education Week of teachers doing one-liners for students of things they've learned over the year. And if you feel like you can apply it to a student, fine. If not, you can just be like, agree, disagree, and we'll go through a bunch. All right, give yourself permission to make mistakes.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Why? Wait, people don't give themselves permission to make mistakes? I don't think they'd say that out loud. Everyone would say that they give themselves permission to make mistakes.
I think people don't give themselves permission to make mistakes because of peer pressure or public opinion. They don't mind actually.
Perceived public opinion.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So if you just say, it's okay if they don't like you, if it's okay if they see something wrong, it's okay. So just give yourself permission to be okay.
It's also art. There's so much you can learn through, it's just however you make people feel.
Yes.
And you can sometimes inspire people by getting through a difficult passage that you're struggling through.
Yes.
And that's the point of art, is to make them feel a certain way. Underneath the surface of success is failure. Controversial take I have on this. Margo.
Yeah, I agree. But it's what you do with the failure, right? You have to point at it and say, well, that was a mistake and here's what I learned from it. You can't mask it as, I didn't mean to do that.
Who are you to define a failure? That's my controversial take on that.
That's a good.
So I do agree with
Context
the
is
statement,
powerful.
but it's really easy to go, oh yeah, that was a failure. That was a failure. Are you saying that, like Usain Bolt, every race that he ran that wasn't a record-breaking race was a failure?
Yeah.
That's how you reframe. Yeah.
Yeah, because he can't run his fastest time every single time. It's not possible.
Yeah.
So the others aren't failures. Not to say that there aren't failures, because there are. You attempt something and you failure. Effective teachers know their students' stories.
Of course.
What does that make you think about?
They walk in and I say, how do you feel today? What happened? What great thing happened today? Did something disappoint you? And they know that I care, so they tell me. And then I'm able to connect that to their music. Okay.
You know what's weird this year? You've probably done this forever. I used to ask things, but then if they're having a rough day, I would like really dial back, like just ramp down the energy of the lesson. And I've kind of quit doing that. I still learn what's going on in their life, and then I'm like, hey, we have this little blank slate right here. Let's do something cool.
Right,
and
right.
then sometimes I push them harder.
Yeah.
It'll get their brain off of things.
I say music
Then
will
they
make
get a
the
win.
difference. It'll make the difference. And then they're happy afterwards. I said, see, you're happy today.
Curricular violence happens every day. Stop it. I know it's interesting how you define that.
What is curricular violence?
I would describe this as, for me, just overloading tons of rep and they never have a chance to polish anything. That's probably how I would see it. Or giving them something way out of their scope. That's how I see that. Also, I don't like homework in schools. Big surprise, everybody. Oh, I love this one. The students are the real teachers. What are some things that you've learned from students that you maybe wouldn't have learned otherwise?
I have learned that there are different ways to see things and think through things. And when I ask them what they're thinking and they tell me, it surprises me that they're considering that when they're playing or when they're interpreting or when they're... So it's fascinating to learn about the different thought processes of kids.
Yeah. Or sometimes a big explanation and then you're going, all right, so how would you apply this? And then they say something, you're like, huh, that is not what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
That's not bad though.
Yeah, right.
What do you think?
For me, it's been tenacity because, I started reading music as a young child. I don't really remember learning to read music, and I'm working with maybe a middle schooler, and they're very carefully like, okay, if that is C.
Oh, so you don't really remember a time before you
D.
could find C on a paper?
No.
Interesting.
I don't. And so I just knew it. And then,
Yeah.
but I'm working with middle schoolers or even these young kids, and they're
This goes
very
up,
careful.
this goes down.
Yeah, and you're just like, okay, this kid's working hard. Play Mary Had a Little Lamb. And I'm over here whining that I can't play like some Chopin. It's like, okay, what if you applied the same principle? What if you were just patient?
Yeah, mine would definitely be slowing down. Slow down. Slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down.
Yeah.
And this year I heard the phrase, every strength casts a shadow, and I've been saying it a lot. And so I'm like, oh, I do excel at some fast-paced, exciting stuff, and that's going to be my weakness. Also, students have different strengths. So it's interesting to see this student want what this student has so bad, and this student wants what this student has so bad. And you're like, huh. I mean, they don't believe you when you tell them that.
That's true.
You're like, so-and-so who's like the big rock star that you love, like they have some insecurities. They don't believe it.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, no, they do. They almost threw up and didn't get on stage last time.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, man. Behavior challenges? What if it's me?
What if it's you?
Oh.
Yeah. That speaks to me as a parent.
Let's start with Margo. Okay. So, behavior challenges in a relationship, student, teacher, parent is fine. And then, is it me?
Yeah.
Am I the drama?
I mean, for sure. And my oldest is 4 and my youngest is 1. So we're in this time of like, I expect X to be done in this amount of time in this way. Do it! But really, there's so much friction because I'm not helping the way it could have been helped. Like they need support, even though they have like taken off their socks 100 times. For whatever reason, they need help with the socks.
Right, like the pants get inside out
Yeah.
and they get stuck on their ankles and then they get mad.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, how can you be mad? That's
And
like
no,
the
I'm
worst
mad.
way you can take your pants off.
Right. Or maybe the timeline is like, I think you need like 2 minutes to do this thing. They don't. They need 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And now like we're late because just time expectations. So just trying to reframe and be like, all right, if I'm this little person that doesn't know what I know, and this is, parenting and piano and administrating, it's all the things. I think it can be done in this amount of time.
Margo, Slack's broken. It's not letting me in. You're pretty confident you can solve it.
Slack we can do. All right, so it's just like, okay, reframe. What do these people actually need? And these people being like little kids or students or peers or parents, right? You guys have had a hugely stressful day, and you just like want your kid to have a good piano lesson. And so that's for me. Like that's not always. Sometimes people are just having a bad day.
Do you ever think that if there's behavior issues in the lesson, do you automatically assign, we'll call it blame, but like to the student?
No.
I think that's what I read from
Very rarely. I say, okay, what happened today? Or if I know something's going on in their family, then I will say, okay, let's imagine. And then I will change my approach to what I'm doing. Or if I'm making them cry, which I have made students cry, then I have to say, okay, I'm misunderstanding. You're misunderstanding me, or I don't mean to come across that way. Sometimes I just don't feel good that day, and I don't know that I don't feel good.
So you're not filtering it. It's like medicine with no sugar. You're just kind of like.
Yeah, one time I didn't feel good, and I didn't realize I didn't feel good because I always think I feel good, right? And the student was like really subdued, and they just weren't responding. And so I let it go, and because I didn't know how to handle it. And the next week I realized I wasn't feeling good. And I said, I'm very sorry.
Because once you feel better, you're like,
I said,
this is how I should feel.
I'm so sorry last week went not well. And I said, I just wasn't feeling well. And they said, we thought something was wrong. And of course, if they think something's wrong with me, they're going to withdraw.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to hurt me, or they don't want to cause any problems. So they're going to withdraw. So that's what I was feeling. But it was actually mirroring what was happening with me, because I wasn't feeling good.
So I have a question for you. And this is not really a podcasty question. This is a more like, help me with my teaching here. When you are trying to deliver a point, and it's not getting across, like an example of how to articulate something, even just something simple, and they don't do it 3, 4, 5, 6 times, but they are trying. Are you quick to table that and shelve it and just go, hey, it's making progress, we'll try that more later? Or will you say, this is not what I'm talking about? Like how clear will you be? Because they're trying, it's just like you're nowhere close. So the scenario is a student's trying something over and over and over. They're nowhere close. Do you encourage them as if they're making progress, or do you leave it on like that's not it?
I try to totally change the approach and have them do it differently. Say, okay, let's jazz it up. Okay, no words. Let's role play. Or I totally take it, the subject off the point and come at it to where I'm actually trying to trick their brain to do something that would cause them to line back up to what they're doing.
So I'm thinking right now of getting the bow hairs on a violin into the string such that it creates enough friction that the sound leaps out of the instrument. The weight of the bow, if you have a nice violin, even a nice student violin, is enough that it can like get a not terrible sound out. But you're not making it. It's just kind of coming out from the weight of the bow. So when I'm talking about like really get into the string, you want to see that weight come down, and then you'll hear it come out. I find that it goes to the student's personality. If they're more bold in their personality, they're quick to do that. And if they're not, they won't. And so it's like maybe I got 0.5% progress, and I don't know if I should go scale like that's just such a fraction of what's possible. Or if I should go, well, we made progress.
So what if you do, okay, I've got a little girl who sings very softly.
Yeah.
And I try to get her to sing loud, sing loud, sing loud. And it's not working.
Maybe she can't.
No. So I tell her.
How do you know that she can't?
I tell
She's
her.
got a little tiny voice.
So I tell her to, I say, I want you to copy me. And I lean on the doorknob and I say, I want you to yell as loud as you
So
can.
can we try this? I'll be the student. Here we go.
Hello, Miss Ivy. I'm
Okay.
gonna sing.
No, I need you to yell at me, but don't yell at me. Okay, think of your brother. He did something really awful to you. He went in your room and he got into your diary. I want you to hold on to that doorknob and I want you to yell. And I try to develop, and usually they can.
But like, I'm not saying a student that's being stubborn. Like they are
No, no, no.
trying.
No,
they
no,
just
no.
don't know how to get uncomfortable.
So what?
So I think they can yell.
But if you take it to something like for your arm for the bow, say you say okay.
Right, so I'm like, give me the entire
give me
weight of your arm.
Yeah, and then
they
go.
they're I'm like, you're holding it, and I'll
Yeah.
move my arm, and it won't drop. So I
Yeah.
just hold it out here. I'm like, do you have the weight of the arm? She's like, yeah, and then I drop. It just happened. It was right there. So if you rewind it, you will say that I said, hold your arm here.
Okay.
Ah, it's me. It is me. I literally said, hold your arm here. And then I moved it and you dropped it. So in this instance, I don't know what I'm doing.
I do,
Well, that
I
concludes
do not.
that.
I do
But
not.
see, I feel like, okay,
I don't like to beat.
hold your arm here. Don't move it. That means you're going to use this muscle so that if I were to move my hand, it would not drop.
Okay.
Yes! Okay. Anyway, the arm has weight is what I might be trying to teach, and they will just refuse to let that weight drop.
Yeah.
Unlike you, it was fine to let it drop. No, I know you knew the example I was making.
Yeah.
So yeah, with that,
I just changed this. I changed the scenario. Is what
I think that's what I do. But every once in a while, I want to just camp out and say like, no, like we're gonna live here for the next 5 years.
That's what I get them crying about. Or I will say, this year's goal is curved fingers. That's our goal. So then I'll hit it a little bit
More
every
than a
week.
year.
Yeah.
Decades.
I'm doing this with August. I'm working with August, my 5-year-old, and I found that I have so much more temptation to get punitive when I'm working with him on the piano that I would never do to my students. I've put him in timeout so many times already, and I tell myself, oh, it's not for like being bad at piano; it's for not listening. So he'll be like playing, and I'm like, August, I want you to use one hand. Just one hand, man, just like this. Floppy, and then bounce on middle C. And he'll be like, pedal, 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 pedal. And I'm like, if you touch the pedal again, we're going to have a problem. And he's like, I didn't hear you. And I'm like, go to your room. We'll try again in a minute.
Yes, that is.
Which gives me so much more empathy for parents with their kids at home. We see kids like
It really does.
we see kids once a week,
Yeah.
or twice a week, and I'm like,
Practice.
oh my
I try to
gosh,
tell him, I've got this phrase. I'm like,
So much
sometimes
respect.
piano is fun and sometimes piano is hard work. And we have to do both of them.
yeah, it's good.
But I'm just hoping if I
I
say
just
it.
believe in
5 years.
bribery.
I still bribe him. Like we do charts on the fridge, and if it's a big goal, it might be 5 or 10 or 15 practices, and we circle those in, and I initial them, and then it might be a little toy, or I take him fishing, or ice cream, or
Oh, you're a good dad.
thank you, thank you.
Mine was you memorize. I'll give you a penny a note.
That's gonna get you in trouble one day.
It was. After a while, I had to just say we could take you out to eat wherever you wanted to go.
And I was
Thankfully,
like-
you liked Cece's.
One of those. I love CC's. Oh my goodness, I forgot about CC's.
Yeah, it was cheap.
Unlimited tiny plastic pizza.
Yeah,
I want. Is there still a CC's?
I don't.
I have never been to a CC's.
Oh, it's pizza.
Doesn't mean that it's
They're
not out
they're
there.
around.
I just
I
have
don't know if
never
they're
been
here.
to a
I don't know if they're
CC's.
here, but anyway,
All
I
right.
do believe in bribery.
Well, we got to get to teaching here because it's
Okay.
a beautiful Friday afternoon. Students are going to be coming in for lessons. But thank you so much for joining us. It's the legendary Ivy Blair and the legendary Margo Crowder and the legendary Daniel Blair. All three here at the exact same time. We'll see you next time. This has been Blair on the Air, the podcast.